In the Middle Republican NRD, opposite out of Curtis, they purchased Riverside Irrigation Company and retired the irrigated acres off of that canal. You can see a picture of the canal right there. And here's where the benefit really comes in. We actually only retired 672 acres of irrigated land, but generated 2,400 acre feet of water off of that. And basically that's because it took that much water out of the river to irrigate those 672 acres. Most of it was lost through seepage. You can see the sand in the bottom of that canal. They had to push 2,400 acre feet of water through that canal to irrigate 672 acres. Okay, well, I took a look at a couple projects. Those two projects alone in those two districts cover their average year requirements, but not their water short years. And again, the water short years get into 1 to 3 years. We need another project, major project here, to avoid shutdown of 60,000 to 100,000 acres in the basin for water short years. And the reason why it's that high is because we only really need about 20,000 acre feet of water, but that's how many groundwater acres it would take to get that. So just put that in perspective versus what we had back here in this previous slide, retiring 672 acres of surface water irrigation, and we got 2,400 in benefit. So this gets to the project that everybody's been talking about here in the last couple months, is the N-CORPE Project. It's Nebraska Cooperative Republican Platte Enhancement Project. We were at our annual meeting at the end of September for the NRDs, and after we got done with our foundation auction, there were several of us that sat down trying to figure out what we're going to do to address this water short year issue. And somebody mentioned, well, I heard there was 115 pivots for sale by one landowner. And so, well, it's between the Platte and the Republican Basin. It sits right on the divide. We got thinking, well, this may be just perfect, because this may solve two problems. It's up and for the Platte and for the Republican, and it's sitting right on the divide. So on this map, what you'll see here, I'm gonna step over here, everything that is encompassed in blue are certified irrigated acres from Lincoln Farms. So a lot of you in here will remember this farm as Prudential. The poster child for Initiative 300 is what this was. All of this here that got developed back in the late 70s, early 80s. It was owned by a Prudential Insurance Company. There's another parcel up here, parcel down here. This parcel was developed by another family farming operation, and they sold it to Uplinger, which eventually sold it to Lincoln Farms. There's another storage facility, potato storage facility right over here by Wallace. This all goes with this project. Key thing here is this orange line is the boundary between the Middle Republican NRD on this side and the Platte, Twin Platte NRD on the other side. The blue line is your surface water divide between the Republican drainage and the Platte drainage. So it's sitting in an ideal location to help address some of these problems that we have in those two basins. Now the next map, which you also have that one too, is a little closer look at the parcels versus the previous map. I forgot to point out, up here is North Platte, the white there at the top of the map. It's about 15 miles from that property to NPP Supply Canal, which is right up here. Here's Ligmaloli, and up there is Sutherland Reservoir where the power plant is, and that white squiggly line is their supply connect. This side of the map just zooms in a little closer for you so you can actually see where all the parcels are at. Down here to this side, this is Medicine Creek, which eventually runs into the reservoir systems in the Republican, and eventually feeds into the Republican River system. This is about 8 miles from these parcels here down to this creek. Here's some details on it. 15,784 certified irrigated acres. The Republican has 10,240. The Platte's 5,364, and those are rounded numbers. We got 4 NRDs to go together to buy this farm, Twin Platte, NRD based out of North Platte, the upper, middle, of lower Republican NRDs, all 3 NRDs in the Republican River Basin. Each one of them own 25% of this project. All the acres will go back to grass. It will take us probably a good 3 years minimum to get grass reestablished on that farm. But what we get here is 15,784 acre feet credited back to the rivers. There's estimated 20 million additional dollars for roughly 17 to 18 miles of pipelines, both directions. One pipeline to the Platte, one pipeline to the Republican. Plan is to pump water to the Republican River in water short years. And again, it's less than the consumptive use of that crop that was there. We'll only, on the average, pump 1 in 3 years. What this does for us, and calculations that we have done, and we've got the engineering firms that we work with the state of Nebraska, this will meet our water short year obligations, this project itself. To pay for it, it's going to end up a $5 to $6 occupation tax for 15 to 20 years to purchase the farm and the pipelines. Right now we have interim financing through some Nebraska-based banks, and are we running out of power here? Okay. We got interim financing through Nebraska-based banks. We're looking at issuing bonds for the occupation tax probably in February or as late as March to get the bond done on 15 to 20 years, and it will be a like I said, $5 to $6 occupation tax. Where we're at today in the Republican River Basin, we're charging $9 to $10 an irrigated acre on occupation tax. With this project, that will help solve the problems long term, and that tax will drop down to 5 to 6, but it'll stay on for 15 to 20 years. And that's only on irrigated land. Target operational date for, and I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself because I got an error here, but the targeted operational date for the Republican side, June 30, 2013, not last June. We'd really like to have it in place last June, but so we're looking at within 7 months have this project operational in the Republican River Basin side. So that we're moving along rather quickly with that. We've got a lot of things we've got to do. We've interviewed engineers to do the engineering for us, and we've already contacted manufacturers of the pipeline and looking at a design build project and want to start turning dirt yet this month and burying pipeline. We've already talked to some adjoining landowners about pipeline location, and we haven't chosen the pipeline location yet, but the farmers in that area that have the irrigated ground are pretty excited about this because they know that long term this fixes their problem. and they can continue to keep their allocations up to that 10 to 12 inches per acre and have this project go on. Keep that allocation at that 10 to 12 rather than 0 or 2 to 3 is worth $5 or $6 an irrigated acre to them. And so last week we spent 2 days in that area talking to local producers and checking out the willingness to allow us to do the easements across their land to get the pipelines put in and get it discharged into the Medicine Creek. To the Platte side, we have the goal here is to return the Twin Platte Basin back to that 1997 targeted irrigated acres. It's not needed every year. There's only 5,363 acres in the Platte. Will not cover that 97 target. However, pumping the water may hit that target. And the reason why is the 7,700 acre feet requirement is in a model, not determined when that water actually gets to the river. But with this project, we can time it, and we can put it in when it's needed, not when it gets there through a estimate, through a model. So this 7,700 acre feet number could get reduced to something close to the 5,300 by just timing the water when you need it.